Greetings and welcome to the channel. The topic of today is Pro Tools. Is it an industry standard? I've been a long time subscriber to a couple of people. They've always had something interesting to say. Mr. Bolo and Mr. Barry. They've caused me to come up off the bench and throw my thoughts into the fire. Is Pro Tools an industry standard, and should it be? Where did Pro Tools come from? How did it get its start? Does it deserve it? That's what we're going to talk about. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm going to jump right into it. Ever since Steinberg came on the scene, Pro Tools was not the best software. Okay? I'm going to say it right out there. It has never been the best software. It became an industry standard, but it is not the best software out there. Steinberg was better, and then when New Window came along, it was better. Just about everything has been better than Pro Tools. People have been duped for a long time. I'm going to come right out and say it. Okay? Pro Tools is a business company. Okay? Let's talk about how they got this start. A lot of people don't know this, or they might remember it once I say it. Pro Tools used to be only used for commercials. The company was a smart company. What they ended up doing was licensing from IBM, communications through the token ring communications to talk from an A to D converter, which is what we called it, to the host, the DAW as we know it to be now. They licensed that. They had that channel locked down. No one else could use it. And they presented their product to recording studios which were doing 2-inch tape. Everybody's recording tape, whether it was 2-inch, whether it was 16 track or whatever. Everybody was recording to tape. And to introduce something to a studio owner, which studios back then had a studio manager, they had engineers, they had people for booking, and they had advertisement. They were running like a business. And they weren't going to change what they're doing for something that could mess up their money. Pro Tools introduced a turnkey situation because they gave them the ability to do digital recording with an A to D converter all ready to go. No experimenting, no nothing. Everything came from them turnkey. A brilliant business plan. And that's how they got into the market. Big studios started going with it. They presented it to them, a turnkey situation, went to all the studios, gave them demos, and showed them how this would work. And the owners of the studio said, let's do this. This is the future of where it's going. And it made a whole lot of sense. That's what Pro Tools did. That's how Pro Tools got in the game. I started with some technology. Let me let you know this. There were 3 companies that all of this technology came from. Pro Tools, Steinberg, which we want to get into, and everybody else, Logic, etc. Those 3 companies were Syncalvier. They had something called the 9600. There was Fairlight, and there was another company called the Waveframe, Audio Frame by Waveframe Corporation, which is where I got into the game. All these systems were very expensive. The Syncalvier was $250,000. The Waveframe was $100,000. And these were beautiful systems. But these companies were expensive, and their technology came from the Defense Department. Most people's things come from the Defense Department because they're the only one who have R&D money, research and development money, which allows other engineers to figure out how to apply these things to the public that the research department, R&D department of defense, came up with. A lot of people don't know they came up with the microwave. It was something that being used, and engineers find application for users. That's how these 3 big companies got us into hard disk recording. These were very expensive, and these things were going to last. Companies like Pro Tools began to drain from the brain trust of these 3 companies, which ended up going All of them went bankrupt. They went out of business. It was expensive. Pioneers, I like that. It can happen. Pro Tools came into the game, and they were mostly used for television commercials, spots, ad men. They used it. It was never really seriously looked at as far as music is concerned. Nothing that a studio would entrust switching over to. But when they came up with licensing for their own purpose, the communications, that's how Pro Tools became an industry standard and producing it to everybody. All other DAWs, Steinberg, Logic, other things that came out, had an issue. They had to wait for something to be invented, which was ASIO. And when ASIO came out, it wasn't ready for prime time. Therefore, Pro Tools had a big head start on everybody else. A very smart company, a money-orientated company, a greedy company, some people says, like Brother Barry says. And that's how they got this started, okay? When ASIO got developed and got better, we were able to use other DAWs. I jumped through all that because I used something called the Waveframe. I'll send up a link up there so you can check out the Waveframe, the 9600 by Syncalvier, and all the other big three companies that started this whole thing, okay? That's where it's at. I've never felt as though that Pro Tools was the best software. People stuck to it. What I ended up doing, when people wanted to leave with a Pro Tools session, I charged them extra. And if you wanted me to record on the Pro Tools, I charged extra, okay? If I'm going to work harder, I need to be paid a little bit better. Pro Tools always made you work hard, in my opinion. And yes, a lot of records have been made with it, a lot of hits. It is not the best DAW by any way, shape, or fashion. Wherever you want to go, whatever DAW, there's a lot of good ones out there, okay? A lot of good ones out there. I used Reasons when Reasons was able to record, okay? Today, I use Studio One. And a lot of other people use Steinberg. I used to use Cubase as well. I've tried them on. I have all the DAWs, But people who bought Pro Tools bought their hardware. See, first of all, Pro Tools is a hardware company that happened to make software. Pro Tools is a hardware company that happened to make software. That's what they do. They made hardware. They never had the best DAW. They never, ever had the best DAW. They make you work too hard, and people swear by it. You have to stop being duped by Pro Tools. I'm coming out. This is not going to be good for Pro Tools from me, because I've been telling people this for a long, long time. The company won't support any of their old hardware. And they make good hardware. It is a hardware company, but they don't support it. They want you to constantly buy the new thing. And what they're doing with subscriptions and their licensing and all this stuff, it's a shame. It's time to let it go. Let it go. Yes, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.